Welcome to Acquisitions Anonymous, Internet's #1 podcast about buying and selling and investing in small businesses. Today, Heather and I had Gen X Corner for the entire of the episode, and we talked about a deal near Arkansas that is in the printing services business and was super unique, and we loved it, except for one thing that was terrible. And so you have to stick around to find out what that is. But here is the episode, and we hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it.
This episode of Acquisitions Anonymous is sponsored by Acquisition Lab. Acquisition Lab and their team, they've been longtime supporters of the pod, and they provide a really great service for people who are looking to acquire a business. So it's created by Walker Diebel, who's become a friend, the author of Buy, Then Build, How to Outsmart the Startup Game. So Acquisition Lab's an accelerator with a highly vetted, cohort-based educational and support community for people who are serious about buying a business. So a lot of our listeners like you tune in every week to our deal reviews. You want to get in on buying a business. You're on this podcast because you're trying to learn how to buy a business. But if you're not quite sure where to start, Acquisition Lab is a great place to start. So they exist to help people buy a business and to navigate all those complexities of the process, everything you hear us talking about on the show. They provide a proven framework, tools, and resources that support you all the way from search to close. They do it. There's a whole bunch of educational material and support. So if you're serious about buying a business, check out acquisitionlab.com, or you can actually email the program director, Chelsea Wood, directly. Her email is chelsea@buythenbuild.com.
So to our lawyer listeners, Heather has been a magnificent addition to the podcast because she's so chill. Like we threw her in the deep end. We're like, yeah, just show up, record some episodes. And we've been doing this for like 200 episodes. So like everybody's like an old hand, like we don't even talk. We just like click start.
And here I am.
And you've been amazing. And also each week your video and audio quality like keeps going up. So you'll fit right in.
Wow, good. Well, thank you so much. I'm learning by doing. This is always fun. So I found an interesting deal for us to look at today.
Oh, before we do that, can I compliment you on closing your first loan, or is that or am I jinxing you?
No, it's already closed. You cannot jinx that one. It is closed. We closed our first one. It was a very exciting moment, and now we have a whole pipeline full of deals that are closing, in various stages of it, and it's really exciting. But yeah, to get that first wire in was like, oh my gosh, now I'm a real business person.
Right. My brother and I, when we worked together very, very closely, would have moments like that where like the first anything happens, for a big effort. And he would always quote the scene from The Empire Strikes Back. Do you remember that was the second movie and they're on the ice planet of Star Wars. I may be going full nerd, but it was the ice planet, and they would everybody's like running around in the ice caves, right? And the rebels are trying to escape because the Empire has showed up. And you hear over the loudspeaker, the first transport is away, because they were evacuating the base because Darth Vader is attacking. And everybody goes, hooray! And then they get back to work. And like that was my brother and I used to say that all the time. The first transport is hooray. And then we go, hooray. And then we get back to work.
All right. So, I have to watch the first transport again. Is away. Okay. I'll have to watch it with that scene in mind. That's a great scene. I'm not a Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever movie person. Star things.
You may have to return your Generation X card for some period of time.
I know it's totally wrong of me. I do have childhood memories of the first Star Wars. That was awesome, but it kind of lost me after that.
The second one is actually the best movie. And if you look at Star Wars and Star Trek, it's the second movie was the best. Wrath of Khan and Star Trek is the best.
Star Trek. Anyway. You switch star things on me. So yeah, I can't keep up.
Got to keep up with these Gen X nerds. We keep moving. All right, let's do what we're supposed to and talk about this deal. Am I reading or are you reading?
I'll read it because I found this interesting little business here in Nash, Texas. It is a semi-absentee printing equipment relocation fabricator and reseller. Seller financing available. Asking price $5.8 million. Cash flow, $724,599. Gross revenue, $3.1 million. EBITDA, $624,599. FF&E, $386,000. Inventory, $700,000. Real estate, $2.5 million. Established in 1984. So it is a high growth potential absentee, I guess that's owner, printer equipment relocation fabricator and reseller. Very specific. We are pleased to announce the availability of this semi-absentee 39-plus-year-old printer equipment relocation brokering, reseller, and laser alignment company. This company specializes in facilitating plant relocations for heavy equipment that is focused on the printing industry. Those specializing within the printer industry, they also offer rebuilding, printing, laminating, and equipment coding of all types. Both husband and wife owners work in the office 4 to 8 hours per week and another 6 to 8 hours per week remotely. In their day-to-day operation of the company, the company is being run as a lifestyle business where the gating decision as to whether to take on new work depends on if the job can be accomplished within their current 15 hours availability. In fact, the company routinely turns down new jobs as the owners don't want to work longer hours and they do not want to add employees to perform the additional work. Above all, the couple enjoys spending quality time with their adult children and their grandchildren, and spending quiet time together in their cabin. Specific services provided by this company consist of moving and installing printing equipment, includes clients' own rigging, machinery repair, electronic system integration, equipment brokering, central impression, drum repair, offers central impression drum plating, dry ice blasting, as well as retrofitting clients' equipment to the state of the art. Equipment appraisals, dry ice blasting, manufacturing inline equipment, both backside coating, 2=4 stack presses, don't know what that means, rewinds, unwinds, downstream coaters, brings equipment to the state of the art, both mechanically and electrically. Let's see. And they do some laser alignment as well. The company features strong booking rate for projects of $150 per hour, per employee hour, I guess, plus expenses. It currently employs 9 employees, including the sellers. It has highly qualified, well-tenured employees. The absentee company boasts the following financial results. Year 2021 revenue of 1.9, SDE of 802,000, and year 2020 revenues of 2.143 with SDE of 773,000. Nash, Texas. There is a building included, I think, in this purchase price. It is a 43,000 square foot building. Yes, it is included. And that's, I think, most of the description there. I think the rest of this gets a little bit repetitive down below. What do you think, Michael?
There is just something I saw you scan past. They had an eBay business before where they would sell machine parts online. Due to the tragic passing of their daughter who ran that business, the sellers lacked the bandwidth to adequately manage that revenue stream.
Huh. Wow. There's a lot of personal information in this listing. That's terrible. Yeah, so they had an eBay business. It sounds like they sort of deal in used equipment quite a bit.
Yeah, and I looked it up. They're actually in Texarkana. So Nash is a suburb of Texarkana. The nearest major cities are Shreveport, which is an hour away, and you're like halfway between Little Rock and Dallas, right on the Arkansas-Texas border. So hence Texarkana. So it is they are in a tiny suburb of a tiny town of Texarkana. And it smells like one of those like businesses that springs up in a town like Texarkana, Corpus Christi, Lubbock, these type of places that are, 80, 120,000 people. And like there ends up just being, you're just big enough to support one company like this. That's like the jack of all trades for printers. And they do the hustle. So a funny anecdote for you, since, it's 30 seconds in, so I'll give you a funny anecdote, but our friends moved to Marfa. Have you ever been to Marfa?
No, I have not.
It's famous because a guy from New York moved there, a famous artist moved there to get as far away from New York as possible back in the 60s and transformed it into a West Texas art mecca. And so like all the they have all kinds of art type stuff, like LA people like fly in and own homes there and stuff like that, but it's 2,500 people. So if you want to live there, you end up kind of doing what this business does, and they call it the Marfa hustle, where instead of having one real job, you have 6 kind of jobs. It's like, oh, I wait tables on the weekend, I report for the newspaper, and I also repair toilets. And they'll be like, they call it the Marfa hustle. So that's how I kind of think about this business, is it looks like a Marfa hustle, done in Texarkana, where there's not much competition, and your moat to some extent is the town that you're in can't support a real professional organization doing all this stuff. But you end up being the only folks doing anything around printing for your whole area.
Right. So, but how many printers are there, or could there be in a metro area of that size?
It's definitely interesting. We've ordered, I live in San Antonio, and we've ordered a lot of printing, and a number of the printers are in East Texas. They're like just random outside of Houston, like just printing stuff. So I never figured out why, but like a lot of them are in these places like Nacogdoches and Lufkin and north of Lake Conroe, just like random towns full of like a printer. So,
Out there.
um,
Uh-huh. So I guess you would look at this business and say, how many printers can we serve? And really can they really be any busier than they are? Yes, they say they turn down jobs, but they probably still do the same job later, because except maybe someone else isn't really coming along and servicing that job that they're turning down.
that's my guess. Yeah, my guess is these guys have carved out an amazing niche in this town. Everybody knows them. If you have a printer, you have to call. I guarantee their names are like Jim and Deborah. Like if you call Jim and Deborah, and who also goes by Jimmy, but only to his high school friends. And you have to call these guys, and that's to some extent where you're getting here is, and they also know that it's a small town. Like I don't know how much business you've done in small towns, but like the smaller the town gets, the lower the expectation of like responsiveness and fast moving gets. Like,
Right.
oh,
I'm
well, Jimmy
sure.
will take care of us. It's like, yeah, I
No,
bet you got some of that going on
Jimmy
too.
will eventually get there. My brother's name is Jim, and
Oh,
only my mom calls him Jimmy.
okay then.
Yeah, yeah.
I was trying to figure out if I insulted your brother.
No, no. I mean, Jimmy, but I never called him Jimmy. I don't know, and then none of his friends ever did either. But we were California raised, so maybe that's the reason. But yeah, this seems like a business. Like, if someone from the town kind of has to take it over. I can't imagine someone coming from the outside taking it over. I guess unless this was just good income, good lifestyle for somebody that really you'd have to have a lot of knowledge about the printing industry and the equipment, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think all that's learnable. I mean, if you know management and stuff like that, I could envision somebody who comes in and decides they want to live in Nash, Texas, which man, like you should go drive around like rural Texas before you decide to live there. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I like amenities, and I want to live next to an airport and like a Best Buy, like
Right.
in a hospital. Um,
The hospital is very important. People forget that.
my friends are doctors here in San Antonio, and I was like, hey, like, what do you recommend if you get like injured or something like that outside of one of the major cities? And he said, first thing you do is demand they put you in an ambulance and drive you to San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, or Houston. Do not don't let it, because you end up like, with a selection bias there of the people that are medical professionals who are well-intentioned, but like if you have a choice, are you choosing to live in Nowheresville, Texas with no amenities? And yeah, that's what they all say. Like, do not get yourself in an ambulance and get driven to the big city.
Well, and that's just why I question some of these retirement communities that are really out there and small, and they don't have great healthcare, and they're retirement communities. It doesn't make any sense to me, healthcare wise.
When you're going to be consuming the hell out of retirement healthcare, like I'm watching my parents and that generation go through it now, where they're like every day going to a specialist or a doctor, and it's brutal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the first thing when I think about this, Heather. Like, if I was going to buy this business, like I would think about how am I going to have a great general manager or CEO in the place, and how am I going to get that either via myself or getting somebody who wants to live in a suburb of Texarkana to come out and do this business. And I think that's your biggest problem, and also the biggest moat for this business. Like nobody wants to move to Nash, Texas and compete with these guys. Like, yeah, like there's better ways to make money.
Right. Right. So this would be a tough one, but they did definitely advertise the absentee part a lot. Yet I'm sure these are local folks who are pretty involved when they do work, is what it seems like.
Look, this broker knows what they're doing. they're putting some good stuff in here. Like, and this is actually one of the best written teasers I've ever seen. Like, I love the trick of giving out all the personal information, because you feel like they're giving you a straight dope. But meanwhile, they're turning around and telling you that a business, you should pay them. I mean, let's just do the math here.
Yeah.
You should pay them 720 or $5.8 million for a business that cash flows $725,000 a year. Like, like poke my eye out. Like, that sounds horrible.
And I'm questioning the real estate value as well. If you're telling me about this town, $2.5 million for this real estate, does that seem right to you?
It could be. I mean, a lot of it depends on what else is going on the property, how big the building is. But I mean, they have a picture of this business, which is cool, which is also scary. So they're like, okay, well, like this is they have not talked about CapEx here. And what I see is a lot of CapEx staring me down. There's like a bunch of equipment back there and stuff hanging off the walls. And at least it looks sort of clean, but not that clean, which is a bad sign that this place is also a mess.
It looks like a mess. Yeah. It looks like a mess.
Well, it's funny that the broker was like, for those of you who can't see, there's a picture of like a giant rusted blue machine. And I'm like, well, is that really the best picture you could come up with? This? What does the bad part of this look like?
It would not be the picture I would choose, but there may not be a better picture, to your point. Yeah, it looks like a bit of a mess, not real well taken care of, not real organized. And interestingly, do they not have an employee that they could sell the business to? You would think in a small town like this, someone's got some skill. They've got, what did they say, 9 employees? I feel like this is one of those opportunities where it kind of needs to go to that one of those people. Their best employee could buy this potentially. And with SBA loans, there's a way that employee could actually buy it with 0 down. Mm-hmm. So the SBA has made it very easy if the seller wants to carry a 10% note that's on standby for 24 months, that the employee wouldn't have to put any equity in, and they'd be able to carry that much and get some cash out. It's not going to cash flow for an SBA loan at the price they're asking, of course. That's way too high. They're going to have to, rule of thumb, if you look at the cash flow of $724,000, well, let's just use the EBITDA because that, takes out salaries that you'll need. $624,000. You figure an SBA loan can't work for more than about 3.75 times EBITDA. That's about as much leverage as you can get. So what is that? I got to do my math on my calculator here. 624 times 3.75, 2.3 million. That's the max leverage. So that's how I look at numbers. I just kind of rule of thumb it and go, okay, if you could only borrow at most 2.3 million, what could you pay for this? And you couldn't pay for the real estate. No way. You're not going to buy the real estate with this. It's underutilized, or that's way too high a value. So they're dreaming on the price. But there's a nice profitable business there for somebody who really wants to live there and could learn the equipment, the printing equipment industry.
Do you need video content for your business that doesn't suck? Double Jump Media is your one-stop shop for high quality, highly engaging video content. They have over a decade of experience producing great, memorable videos for their clients across North America and beyond. And those clients have taken those videos and turned that into millions more in sales for their business to help them grow and achieve their goals. And a distinguishing characteristic that sets them apart is they have a small team that does everything in-house. So what you see on their portfolio page and what you see on their website, that's what you're going to get. They do everything soup to nuts: consulting, scripting, strategy, production, post-production, helping you put it all together to produce something that is just as top-notch as your brand. So whether you're rebranding an existing product, you've just bought a business, or you're trying to grow the one that you have, the Double Jump team is one that is down to clown. By the way, they wrote that down to clown tech. I know what it means, but it sounds awesome. So to get in touch with them, visit doublejump.media, fill out their form, tell them that we sent you, have an introductory call at no cost to you, and figure out what's best for your business. They're great folks and can help you on your journey in producing amazing video content to help meet your business needs and goals. And thanks to them for sponsoring today's episode. Yeah, and it's a big market. I think people, have talked about the demise of paper and the demise of stuff, but like my buddies that own sign companies, like their businesses are thriving because we still have to print stuff and still people not everything has gone digital. And it was always the funny thing where people are like, there'll be the paperless office. Do you remember the paperless office when people talked about that?
Yeah.
We just like, in all the paper, like then I looked up and there was like more paper. It's like, what's going on? It just got really easy to print stuff. So I don't think this industry is going anywhere. I really like that. But like, I'll tell you what I see with businesses like this that are massively overpriced. What is it? What are they priced at? They're priced at like 7 times earnings. No, 9 times earnings.
9. Yeah.
Yeah, like 7 times 9. Yeah, 9 times cash flow. Like, are you crazy, people? Like, but you see something like this where it's like a stupid price, and then like you tell them, hey, like this is a dumb price. I'm not really interested. Like when you come to your senses, call me. And then what happens is like over 9 months to a year, the seller eventually they're going to have a health problem, and then you discover the thing sells for 1 times cash flow and $1 million seller note to one of their buddies at the country club.
Right.
And you'll be like, whoa, what happened? Like I would have paid more than that. And they're like, well, the seller just went with an easy close.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And you waste your time as a buyer trying to educate them that this is the wrong price. It's very true.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's always an interesting conundrum. Some people are like, oh, just put in your offer, which they will consider lowball. And then there's other people that are just like, just move on. And I think the more and more I do this, I'm just in the move on category. Like if you see somebody with unreal expectations, just be like, okay, well, like I wouldn't even have a call with this broker. Just like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's wise. I think learning when to pass and how quickly to do it is a skill that new searchers lack. So I work with a lot of people who just started their search, and I watch their learning curve, and I start to observe what this learning curve looks like. And in the beginning, people are wasting time on deals, even though they kind of see the red flags and they can talk through the red flags. They're still pursuing the deal. And sometimes I'll kind of scratch my head, like, are you actually still looking at this one? They'll call me back and they're still talking about that deal. And then if you look at people maybe 6 months in or more, they've learned, I wasted too much time on, certain, and now I see certain red flags and I just don't even bother. That's like a skill that has to be learned in the first 6 months.
Yeah, man, it's watching the searcher journey with how many searchers, and I had a call with one last week who did like a mentoring call with me. By the way, you can pay for my time. It's pretty crazy that people do it, but it was good because at the end of it, I was like, oh, I gave this guy 30 times return on his investment. But anyway, it like I see it over and over again where these searchers, like they'll spend 6 months being like, oh, I want to buy a business. And then kind of the call we had on Friday with the guy was like, I think I might start a business. I'm like, yeah. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, like sometimes it's a better choice. But you know what? Your advice is only worth that 30x if they take it. I get a little frustrated sometimes. I don't get paid for my advice. I guess I give it out to try to, work with them with the loans, of course. And I get a little frustrated when people don't listen, and they continue to pursue something, and multiple people may have told them not to. So but I guess it's all part of the learning curve, knowing who to listen to, knowing what to focus your time on.
So here's my strategy to deal with that, Heather. I got this.
Okay.
The thing you do is you just forget whatever you told them immediately after, and then it's impossible for it to be frustrating.
That's true.
People will come up to me, like literally I was at the Holdco conference and people came up and be like, do you remember when you told me to do X and I did it? Like, thank you so much. And I'm like, what?
I did. That was smart. You ever think, oh, I was smart that day. That was good.
I was like, a couple times I'll be like, I said what?
That's true. You have to just, I don't remember a lot too. You're right. I do that.
Hey, we're Gen X. We gotta keep it up. That's the way it goes.
That's
just
right.
Keep it busy. This is a super interesting deal. Like, what would you pay for this deal?
Okay, so I said it can't do more leverage than 2.3. I probably wouldn't pay more than $2 million. I'd probably pay $2 million at the most.
Yeah, I think I would do something. Yeah, like, and again, this is at a size deal that I just don't really want to do. It's like it's too big to not worry about, and it's big enough that it's like a pain. It's big enough that it's not big enough, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm going to go through all this hassle on this, like I want it to be bigger, 5 times the size.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's kind of where I would end up as well. Like and I'd be at the low end of pricing. Like I think to make something like this work, and you're going to be driving out to Texarkana all the time. I don't even think they have an airport. Like no offense to maybe they do, but like if it is, it's like 2 flights a day type thing. And like, I don't know. Like you'd have for me to spend time in Texarkana and a lot, that would be, a challenge. So I don't know. This definitely feels like it's going to end up transacting somewhere in the 1 times cash flow plus like an earn out. But it's going to go to one of their buddies. Like, and so I don't know. That's where I would be. And that's probably where all the other buddies at the country club are going to be as well in terms of pricing this.
Yeah. And I will add, when you say too small, too big, I get this question a lot. Isn't it safer to go smaller, and I don't think so at all. I think going too small is not safe. It can actually be riskier. It can be really hard to get bigger. And to prove it, I have stats on my website where we looked at the SBA default rate, and the default rate for acquisition loans, just for acquisition loans, not all SBA loans, but just acquisitions. And the smaller loans have a higher default rate than the larger loans. We cut it kind of below 2 million and above 2 million. And, and as a lender, you kind of intuitively know that, but the stats prove it out. They're riskier, actually, small deals.
Yeah. I mean, when we first started acquiring software companies, we saw a huge difference between the quality and how easy it was then also to run the business when it was, say, above 2 million revenue. And it's interesting because like what you're talking about, like the smaller the business is, like what's small for a reason, because it doesn't have good systems and like the leadership is stressed and stretched. And then you think about like what you do with it afterwards, like a small business, you have to go and hire all these unicorn generalists. You have to hire a CEO who doesn't want to make that much money because you're not bringing in much money for a $2 million a year software business. They have to be able to get in and do sales. They have to get in and be able to do admin. They have to get their hands dirty and all this stuff. You can't hire specialists for anything. So it just becomes a real mess. And, it also explains why the bigger businesses get the higher the multiple gets paid. Like that's just, because it's a better business. That's why the multiple's higher. Then a lot of stuff is easier and more dependable. And I think if I was an SBA buyer, like you're putting your whole life at risk anyway, like borrow as much as you can, like do the biggest deal you possibly can. And get in there because it's going to be on average a better business. Exactly what you're saying.
I 100% agree with that. It's just counterintuitive for some people to think that bigger is safer, but it is.
If only people listen to us. The good news is when people don't listen to me, they pay me first.
That is good. I mean, I would be a lot less bothered if that's the way it was working.
Yeah. I used to do a lot of like free advising and stuff like that, and like now I just tell people like, okay, like I've spent 30 years like accumulating some foundation of knowledge and experience, like pay me. Like, you don't want to pay me, that's fine. Like I got plenty of people I could talk to.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But I gave up on my Twitter DMs the other day.
So you did? Just let it go, dumpster fire. I
just turned it off. Oh, it's been great. And I know there's people that can't, like, I don't think you can because you have potential clients coming in, but yeah, it's been great. I highly recommend it.
I bet. You're free. Freedom.
Hooray. All right. Well, hey, this is a great find. So how'd you find it?
Biz Buy Sell. Just scrolling around. That's how I found it.
Really? You did after hours research?
I did my homework today. Yes.
Wow. This is all the millennial co-hosts who aren't here today should take you by example.
Listen up. Yep.
Super cool. Okay. Did we cover everything we're supposed to cover on this one? Who should buy it? We don't know. Country club guy.
Yeah.
How much should you pay for it? How would you structure the deal? How to think about it and what things to go look at. I think we did all of that.
I think we did.
I like it, but I hate it.
Yeah.
So it's a duality, man. It's a Jungian thing.
I like it. Hate it too.
All right. We're having fun with these guys. We'll wrap it up here. If you enjoyed this, number one, check out Heather's business. She's cranking if you're going to be borrowing money. And what's the website again, Heather?
It's visocap.net, VISO. People say Viso, but it's Viso out of the word advisor. So I'm a loan advisor.
I think that's great. And tell your friends about the podcast because we're having a lot of fun and we keep growing. I think we're going to hit 1 million download a year run rate soon. So pretty fun stuff. And we're having a great time. So we'll wrap it up there and we'll see you next episode.